Now, you wear purple during the football season. You're about to wear red and black. You've just signed as the No.1 ticket holder for the Perth Lynx. Congratulations. Tell us how that's come about.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's quite exciting that they picked me to be the No.1 ticket holder. Obviously, my daughter plays a lot of basketball, and they sort of came to me. I like to go to a lot of the games, so for me, it's something different. I played a lot of basketball growing up, but women's sports going to be a big part of my life. And I'm very excited to be a part of the Perth Lynx.
So I've seen you at Wildcats games a lot. We've seen you at Lynx games a hell of a lot last year. How did you end up saying, well, I want to take my kids to as many Lynx games as possible? Because I reckon you were there for most of them.
Yeah, well, Perth Lynx, as you know, I've been to a few Wildcats, I've been to a few Lynx, but I find that, having three girls, I feel like the Lynx is very family orientated. Feels like you're real close no matter where you sit in the stadium. And, I feel like the atmosphere is right up there, one of the best. And obviously, watching it from the grandstands is a little bit different to being out there, but it's something that I'm very excited about, and something that my girls really enjoy as well.
So you were super close. You were baseline a few times, and when you're that close to another sporting event, how does it feel? Can you feel the pressure and the atmosphere that they're facing on court?
Yeah, definitely. Basketball is completely different to football. Obviously, we are footy players are a fair way away from the fans. Considering where you're at, especially at Optus Stadium, you've got a bit of a higher range. But being at the Perth Lynx, like you said, courtside, I've been a few times, and no matter where you sit in that stadium, I feel like you get a good look at it. You can hear the players on court running plays and doing those types of stuff. So it's quite enjoyable. It gives you a different insight into a different sport, and a real tactical sport at that as well.
So you got the three daughters, Layla, Addison and Mackenzie. Mackenzie's still a bit young to be even getting involved in any sort of sport, but tell us about the other two and their sporting achievements so far.
Yeah, so my oldest girl, Layla, who's 11, she started off playing a bit of football, close to where we live, and along with a few friends, wanted to move on to basketball to test that out for a year. And lucky enough, one of the guys that used to work at the football club at Fremantle is now at the Coburn Cougars, and he invited us down to go and try out and for the Wobble team and do a bit of that. And what made my daughter feel real comfortable was having a few friends to come along with her for the journey. And it was one of the best things that I've done, was to push her into a direction of basketball, something that's completely different, and a little bit foreign to the sport that I play, but in some ways a lot the same, with running plays and learning tactical stuff and the sportsmanship. So I was quite happy to push her along into that direction, and being there a year along with Andy Stewart, leading the reins down there, they definitely learn a lot more down there playing under him. And my daughter always said that he's a little bit like Ross Lyon. You see what you see is what you get from him. And and as soon as she said that, because she has had a big part with Ross Lyon throughout my footy career, every time I look at Andy, I see Ross Lyon myself. So it came about through purely going to try out with a few friends, and they and the girls really enjoyed it.
So Andy Stewart, very, very big name in basketball in the state. He's in the Basketball WA Hall of Fame, former Lynx coach as well. Like, to be 11 years old and be having someone like that teaching you, it's an amazing opportunity, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. And like I said, and like you said, he's got a lot of experience in the basketball realm and the basketball world, that he's coached and trained a lot of quality players who have gone on to do some big things. So for my daughter at 11 years old, along with her friends, to regardless of if they make it to the top level or whatever, Andy's definitely going to teach them some basketball skill, but then also some life skills as well.
So she had a fair year, averaged 11.5 points a game in the under-12s. She had 20 points against the Perth Redbacks, 24 against Lakeside. A couple of those games happened while you're away. Did you get to see her all the time? How's the flight schedule worked when you're overseas? At least you got charter flights, interstate. At least you got charter flights at the moment to get you back. I'd imagine that would help. Yeah,
well, it definitely helps. And, for her to go out there and, play the way she did, and I always promoted, make sure, you pass the ball around, share it around, which is always good, and she enjoys that part of it as well. But for her to get, some scores on the board was unreal for her confidence, and that's pretty much what I wanted her to do it for, was purely confidence, whether, regardless of how many points she got or or how she played. As long as she got out there, her first year, like I said, and get out of her comfort zone was something that was probably more important for myself, for her going forward, her life, and also her sporting going forward. But whenever we did play the early games here in Perth, I sent Marnie, my wife, along to the games with her, and I sort of rocked up in the first quarter, halfway through the first quarter or whatever, just so I can get a bit of a sleep in. But I always made it to the games and try to make myself known to show that support and make her feel comfortable on court.
So as a dad of 3 girls, like we're seeing that the world is changing for girls with sport. AFLW is now still in its infancy, but it's building. And we saw the Matildas have such a great tournament over here in the World Cup. When you see them and the opportunities now that they're going to have if they become good basketballers, can you see the momentum building for women's sport?
Oh, definitely. And I feel like the momentum's getting stronger and stronger, especially as you said, the Matildas. I'm not sure what the soccer rate went up while they were playing, but there's no doubt that everyone would have been out there kicking the soccer ball around. And a bit like basketball, basketball's growing, it's getting bigger and bigger. It is a international sport and it's massive, in the men's area. But for the teams like Perth Lynx to showcase their talent, getting a lot of imports from overseas and a lot of players that are playing for the Opals and also getting drafted to the WNBA is massive for the young women out there in society, and give them something to aspire to. And that's what these girls are doing. They're giving a lot of they're role models essentially for this younger generation to aspire to be something, whether it's basketball, whatever sporting they want to get into. So, the women's sport is definitely getting big. It's a big part of my life. Not only from now to it's going to be a big part of my life. Considering I've got 3 girls, and I'm definitely going to be a big advocate in pushing the women's sport, regardless of what sport it is. I'm going to try and push it as much as I can and help grow it.
So from a Lynx perspective, they made the finals last year without a WNBA import. They had Sammy Whitcomb as an Australian player, but this year they've changed that and gone back to having a WNBA import. Aari McDonald, who was a pick 3 in the WNBA draft, comes along and gives them an automatically talented player in that point guard position. Having a player like that come into the system, we saw what Marina Maybury and Jackie Young could do 2 years ago. How important will that be for this team, you think, to have a talented player like her leading the way?
Yeah, massive speed and opportunity for a lot of people to learn from, to grow from. Obviously, the WNBA is massive, and that's where everyone wants to get to, the Opals and the WNBA. And for her to come over and showcase her skill and her talent, but then also help a lot of the younger players get better and better in their craft. And it's good to have players like that come back to the Perth Lynx and like I said, showcase their skill and their talent is massive for the competition.
So they've also got Emily Potter from Canada. She's a giant. She'll replace Lauren Scherf, who was the giant last year. But Amy Atwell, someone you mentioned, players want to get drafted to the WNBA. She's a West Australian. She played last season, comes back again. You would have met her a couple of times at training the other week. What's the relationship you've built with her? And the name Atwell is so famous in the sport you play with, Mel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as you said, massive, tall. That's what I can remember because I'm a short guy myself. So I think she's 95 centimetres maybe. Something like that. So, I mean, it's good to get those players back and those players who, like I said, showcase their talent. And I'm a big advocate for role models because that's the position we are in as elite sportsmen and women, that we're role models. We want to showcase our talent, but also give something for the younger players to aspire to. And to have these players that you mentioned come back, showcase their skill and showcase their talent and give something for the younger generation to look forward to and hopefully one day be there.
Annalie Maley, another big recruit for the Lynx this season, league MVP. So the Lynx are heading to Queensland for a pre-season tournament against Townsville, Sydney and Adelaide. They face the Sydney Flames on Thursday at 6 p.m. Western Standard Time. Townsville Fire on Saturday at 5 p.m. at our time, and then finish off with Adelaide on Sunday at 11 a.m. Round 1 starts on November 3 with the Lynx playing the Sydney Flames. So if you are a Dockers fan or a basketball fan and want to join Sonny at Lynx games, buy a membership or head down to the games at the Bendett Basketball Centre in Floreat. You can head to their website and I'll include the link to their membership page in our podcast description. As the club says, come and see what you can be. Now, you played with Craig Moller at Freo, who's now building himself a really good NBL career. He's won a championship there, and you played with Zach Clark, who was obviously a Freo ruckman and was offered a college scholarship to play basketball in America before committing to footy. How good were you? And what sort of a player were you when you were playing? Because I know you played at some level.
Yeah, well, I definitely wasn't a tall player. I can give you the tip. But playing with those boys, I mean, like I said, we are footy players, but a lot of footy players love their basketball. And, in the off time, especially at Coburn as well, we like to sneak out through the gym and have, throw up the rock every now and then, as you say. And there's a few boys that are terrible and some guys like me that are pretty good. We like to think we're good anyway. But, playing with those boys, you do learn a lot. As you said, Craig Moller's doing some good things in basketball here in Australia. And you got Zach Clark, who possibly could have went to college as well. But the different intricacies in sport, basketball realm is somewhat different to football. But then there's a lot of things that are quite similar, along with running plays and game style stuff. But I played a bit of basketball with Nick Nat growing up. Won a few little grand finals there in Midland. Only amateur, but we also really love to play our basketball.
So we saw Nick Naitanui famously jump and over the top of someone during a slam dunking moment for the Perth Wildcats, and he got reamed out for doing so because he might have got hurt. Everyone says he was a good player. Were you a better player?
Well, Nico was only tall. That's what I can say. He was this tall string bean who can drive it, and no one could really block him or steal it off him. So essentially, we'd just chuck him the ball every now and then. But in our team, there was him and his twin brother, me and my brother. And my two other Italian mates, and they were both brothers as well, coached by Tony Maracci, who's really well known in Midland. We went on to win a couple of grand finals. But every time Nico got it, you know exactly where he's going. He's going straight to the rim. So we try to not pass to him every now and then to try and share the ball around. So Nico wasn't bad. He wasn't bad, but he's not as good as what everyone thinks.
And as a neighbour of his, you would certainly know that he lived in, for basketball fans not aware, him and Nick Naitanui lived in the same street. It would be pretty hard to get the ball, I reckon, if you lived in that street, if you're anybody else. Now, the trade period's going on in AFL at the moment. There's been some big trades in the NBA as well. Could you imagine being in the scenario that Drew Holiday was in recently, where he woke up and found out that he'd just been traded? Because you have to give permission to be traded. He's just been told, sorry, you're off. There's someone else we want. It's
crazy, isn't it? The way that the international sports go about their trade periods and stuff like that is just crazy, because I couldn't imagine that happening to me, especially with a young family, and to be able to just wake up and then you have to be shipped out, and who knows how long, they probably possibly have to go straight away or also within the 2 days. And to be able to, if your kids are in school, would definitely be hard. So it's crazy. I don't know how the AFL would be able to do stuff like that, especially, like I said, a lot of players do have kids and a wife, and they do have their life back in the state that they're at. So, it's hard. It'll be tough, and it's crazy the way they go about it.
So your kids would have been a similar age, like early primary school, I reckon, when Fremantle dropped out of the top four, and you were contracted for a long period at that point. So they could have said, well, we want to get some draft picks and push you out. Do you think there's not enough money in the AFL for that system to work, or is it just it has to be what it is now and we can't be following the American system in anything?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit, and there's no doubt that you want to try and improve in every little aspect of AFL, and you want to try and keep up with the top tier professional sports internationally. But for me, it definitely would have been hard. And if they would have came to me, especially if I was under contract, to say, look, Sonny, we're going to have to get some draft picks and we're going to trade you, and and you don't really have a say to that. So it would be daunting. It would be hard, and I'm not sure our players will be able to deal with that, especially with the mental side of things these days as well. It'd be quite hard.
For Fremantle fans, there is a bit going on with your club at the moment. It's 1 p.m. on Tuesday as we're recording this. It's about 24 hours ago that Lachie Schultz came out and said he wants to move to Collingwood. You're a small forward. He's a small forward. He wears 5, you wear 10. Like, you would have spent a bit of time with him. What was your immediate reaction?
Yeah, it was. It sort of caught me off guard. Obviously, I do have a lot to do with Lachie Schultz, and I feel like he could be he's a quality player, but he's only getting better and better. And he will definitely be a big loss. I think he said he's going back for family reasons or personal reasons, and I'm one to admire that, because it is quite tough. Obviously, if I was from an interstate and I had to go home for a family reason or something like that, I definitely will respect that in his decision. He's definitely a player that I want to play with for the rest of my career. I've still got 2 more years, and he's a player that I want to see grow at this football club and make this football club even better. And he's definitely one of those players that really stood out, especially over the last couple of years. Quality player that's passionate, wears his heart in his sleeve, and someone that I really enjoy playing with. So who knows exactly why he wants to go back, but all in all, I respect his decision. As long as it's the right decision, I respect it. And like I said, he's definitely a player that we want to keep at the Fremantle Football Club, and someone that I respect highly and I want to continue playing with.
It's been a bit of turnover with your list in the last 12 months, especially, and you went from being a final team to someone that missed the 8. You've only got 2 years left in the contract, and you're getting on. You'd want to be playing in a flag. Do you worry about the number of players who have moved and the challenges it is of retaining players and building that premiership list?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge no matter what. There's always going to be a little bit of fruit that people are dangling for players to obviously move over when they think that the grass is greener on the other side. But like I said, I'm a Fremantle player through and through, and I want to try and grow this club, and I want it to be as good as it can be. I want to play in the first premiership along with a few other players. We want to play in the first premiership here at the Fremantle Dockers. I've been here 15 years and 2 more years, which will take me to 17 years, and hopefully I can do something and hold up that cup within the next 2 years. And like I said, we want to try and retain and keep players and bring players over, and hopefully we have a good culture that is able to keep those players coming over here for the future.
How's the body feeling? You've had 6 weeks off. Are you raring to get back into it, or you just want another month like you're allowed to?
Nah, I definitely want to get back into it. Someone like me, 32, you want to try and enjoy your break, but then also when you enjoy your break, a lot of the indulgence start to kick in, along with chocolates and all those sort of foods. So I'm trying to stay as disciplined as I can, because the old Ross Lyon motto, discipline versus indulgence, is always key to my head. So I want to enjoy the break. I want to spend some family time with my family, but then also I want to keep training. I want to keep trying to get fit, because like I said, 2 more years, I want to try and win that first ever flag for the Fremantle Dockers. And I want to do it with a lot of quality young players as well.
You're a purple man. How will you feel donning red and black for the Lynx? So does it feel weird when you put on different colours?
Yeah, well, every time I put on the shirt or the scarf, I always think Essendon. So I'd try and get my mind away from that. But yeah, the old Perth Lynx through and through. I can't wait to go to the games and support them as much as I can this year, and and bring my girls along, because they really enjoy it.
And it looked like you really enjoyed being down at training with them the other week. They took some really nice photos, and the kids got the chance to meet their heroes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and the girls do get, they're with me full time, and every now and then when people stop me on the street, they always oh, come on, Dad, move on, and they always get sick of it. But for them to go down and see the basketballers at the Perth Lynx, at the training, you look in their eyes and they're just in awe of seeing these girls run around, running drills, running plays, shooting the ball, and and that's why I really enjoy going down there. For my young girls to go down there and look at all these different role models that are setting the tone for them in the women's sport.
Well, everyone should well and truly join Michael Walters and get on the Perth Lynx bandwagon. It's a fantastic night. If you take your kids down to the Perth Lynx, you'll have a fantastic time. They are great with the way that they look after the fans, autographs, photos, all that sort of stuff at the end. You won't regret it. So if you haven't been down there, make sure you give yourself the opportunity to get down there and see Michael Walters and see these superstars from the Perth Lynx in action. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. You're a busy man. You've got to be going on with the family as well. So thanks for coming on the Dribble Podcast.
No worries. Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to come on anytime.